Here we go again. Why is Caitlin Clark popular?
Caitlin Clark is only popular because she is white. That is a narrative that is very popular among the morons. Major moron, Monica McNutt, how she has a job, I absolutely know, at ESPN.
While Caitlin is fantastic and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA, there are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced when it comes to that.
People aren't spending 3 hours of their time to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball because they're racially motivated.
The one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her.
Why her?
Well, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
You think anybody cares if Dejournay Carrington knocks Kennedy Carter on her ass? No. You think anybody cares if Angel Reese misses her next 6 layups, falls down, shows her ass, and claims sexism? No. We only care that Caitlin Clark is playing. We only care that Caitlin Clark is getting beat up. We only care that Caitlin Clark is hitting a deep three. We only care that Caitlin Clark is getting poked in the eye. Everybody else can poke everybody else in the eye. The reason we care because her game is something we have not seen.
The tale took an unexpected and historic turn just when you thought the outrage over Caitlin Clark had peaked. Now, legal documents have been submitted.
Prevailing narrative that has been created around this season's WNBA play is that it's the league versus Caitlin Clark, and that is just absolutely false. It is unfair to the women that have been there building this league to this moment so that Caitlin Clark's popularity could take it to the next level.
Here's what Caitlin Clark said. Y'all come at me like this, I'm not doing any interviews with you. Y'all keep coming at it with these dumbasses, Monica McNutt. I'm done with you. I'm not doing interviews with you. We'll go play in the Unrivaled League, and let's see which league gets going. And then let's see where the hell we're at. Your dumbasses at ESPN want to get up there and be racist as hell towards me. I don't participate in racism. Next time I hear that bullshit, we ain't playing in a game that you're televising.
In a move that nobody anticipated following months of racially offensive comments and media teasing that sought to rewrite her whole career, Caitlin Clark has formally filed a defamation lawsuit against ESPN's Monica McNutt.
I don't expect the race baiting to stop. I don't expect the hate to stop, the jealousy to stop, the sexism to stop, the bigotry to stop, the stupidity to stop. Because the people that tell you that Caitlin Clark is only popular because she's a white girl are full of shit. You either don't pay attention or you're too dumb.
What began as mocking remarks has now descended into a full-fledged court battle, and Monica is reportedly crying behind the scenes. Caitlin isn't just playing basketball anymore. She's fighting back, and she's doing it with the one thing they didn't expect, the truth supported by legal firepower. ESPN is in a panic, and the sports world is in disbelief.
Now, none of these women, Monica McNutt, they're either too arrogant or too stupid to understand that what they've said all along about Caitlin Clark is just simply wrong.
If it was because she was white, Sabrina Ionescu would have changed and brought the WNBA and turned it on its head, but she is not turning the W upside down on its head like Caitlin Clark is.
So whoever these people are, none of these women are going to come back and say, yeah, you know what? We might have been wrong about, well, she's a white girl and that's the reason she's so popular.
Hold on tight, for this is about to change everything. After months of simmering tension, Caitlin Clark and Monica McNutt's dispute has finally erupted into a legal battle. What started out as passive-aggressive ESPN commentary has escalated into a significant legal dispute. Moreover, the trigger...
But she was a white girl from the middle of America.
It's impossible for the women on television, the racist, sexist, to give Caitlin Clark, quote, her flowers.
A startling behind-the-scenes report claims that during an off-air moment, Monica McNutt called Caitlin Clark a white, one that is currently the main focus of a slander case in court documents. The lawsuit alleges that Monica's remarks, both in public and privately, were not just prejudiced but also malicious, according to people familiar with the matter.
The women of the WNBA will continue their jealousy. They'll continue to hit, fight, knock Caitlin Clark on her ass, and Caitlin Clark's viewings will just go up, up, up.
The WNBA draft ticket prices have come out, and thanks to the Caitlin Clark effect, ticket prices have skyrocketed for the WNBA draft. In fact, they've doubled.
Hey Fever fans, it's Caitlin Clark. I can't wait to get to Indianapolis. I know you guys are excited. I am too. Go Fever!
There's no way the WNBA could have draft and not have Caitlin Clark involved. Caitlin Clark appearance, commentary, something that's going to have her in the venue in front of people. Even if it's just standing around, people are going to pay money to want to see that. Tell me once more how the Caitlin Clark effect isn't real.
McNutt had been promoting a narrative that downplayed Caitlin's accomplishments on ESPN's platforms for weeks. Monica became one of Caitlin's worst critics, whether it was by saying that her fame stemmed from being white and from the Midwest, or by continuously discounting her performances and inflating players with with half her stats. However, this purported slur that went too far.
Caitlin Clark's game sells. Her attitude sells. She doesn't talk much. When she does, we pay attention. Has nothing to do with her being a white girl. It has to do with her game. It has to do with taking Iowa. Has to do with deep threes. Has to do with behind the back, no-look passes. We're drawn to those type players. Black, white, green, or purple.
And it's not being taken lightly by Caitlin's legal team. According to the lawsuit, Monica's comments were not only impolitic, but also racially offensive, defamatory, and intended to harm Clark's reputation and brand. Caitlin's team is arguing that these remarks weren't just disrespectful, but also financially damaging, as millions of endorsement deals from companies like Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, and others are at stake.
Why have all these fans come to see Caitlin? And all the little suburban white girls have hopped on board because Caitlin Clark, she resonates with them more so than the angry black lesbians who dominate the WNBA.
Since becoming the WNBA's biggest draw, Caitlin Clark has never before filed a lawsuit, and the news media and the league are taking notice. Because although she has previously received criticism from players and analysts, nobody anticipated her to respond in this way. Despite media smear campaigns, MVP conversations, and staged TV insults, she has remained mute. However, she's drawing a clear line this time.
There's the two sides who think she is only popular and does have the notoriety and recognition that she does because she is white. There is the other side that says you guys are crazy, you're all jealous of her, and she is just talented.
And this is what adds even greater significance to this moment. It's about a pattern, not just one insult. Months of evidence are being gathered by Caitlin's team to demonstrate a media trend that continuously portrays her as unworthy of privilege and being overhyped, because to her race rather than her skills. They contend that McNutt's alleged slur is just the beginning and a public-facing representation of what has been simmering in broadcast prep rooms and editorial meetings behind closed doors.
I'm going to need all the race baiters who explain Caitlin Clark's popularity simply because she's white to explain why 10 million more people watched her last year than Paige Becker's, also white, this year. And a lot of people, of course, said she had Angel Reese as the villain. 18.9 million, the most ever. The 18.5 million did not involve Angel Reese. It involved USC, South Carolina. Guess who's this year? Game involved. That was 10 million down from last year. South Carolina. Two biggest names in college basketball this year. Actually, they were in this Final Four. They were in this championship game. And yet, the ratings tanked. The ratings were over 50% less.
Numerous legal experts have already voiced their opinions, and many believe Caitlin has a compelling case. Serious repercussions result from defamation of race, gender, or professional reputation, particularly when it involves broadcast networks and public figures. Millions of dollars in damages and a serious damage to ESPN's reputation could result if the court determines that Monica's remarks were not only spoken, but also intended to cause injury.
After the women's NCAA championship, viewership numbers were released where Clark and Iowa set a record for the 4 most watched games ever in the women's Final Four involved Iowa and Caitlin Clark. People are going to tell you that the reason Caitlin Clark was so popular in college was her rivalry with Angel Reese. But there is no Angel Reese. There was no Angel Reese. There was South Carolina. Angel Reese played at LSU.
And what has Monica's response been up to this point? No denial, no press release, no tweet. However, insiders claim that there is a strained atmosphere inside ESPN. According to reports, executives are having urgent meetings, and Monica has been removed from a number of forthcoming parts.
There is just so much statistical data to prove why people are invested and interested and can't stop looking at Caitlin Clark. Like, she has broken a record for records. As a rookie, she has done things nobody else has done. Stats do not require race as a prerequisite. They just are what they are.
Tickets for Monday's upcoming WNBA draft have nearly doubled since last year. Attendees this year will pay $99 or more to sit in the lower tier. Last Last year when Clark was drafted, the tickets were $50.
Since this is now a legal matter and not just a social media storm, there are rumors of sorrow and even tears going on behind the scenes. Caitlin Clark is not going to back down from this. It's serious. The lawsuit was not unexpected. Months of deliberate accumulation led to it.
You stand up to bullies. You don't acquiesce. Because when you acquiesce or apologize, it will never stop. You stand up to bullies. You tell them go F themselves.
For a very long time, Caitlin Clark remained mute in the face of racist remarks and disrespectful, coded criticism from the media. She disregarded the uproar and concentrated on her game, allowing her performance to speak for itself.
And Caitlin Clark does have a further three-point range than even Steph Curry, and that is just kind of bonkers. Think about how popular Steph Curry is. Caitlin Clark shoots farther away on average than he does.
It all comes back to Caitlin Clark's popularity. I believe it is based on basketball more than anything else. Look at what went viral from the Letterman clip, her playing basketball.
However, one individual can only do so much before action is taken, and Caitlin's silence was ultimately broken when Monica McNutt's alleged slur spilt a remark as nasty as it was telling. The deliberate nature of Caitlin's response has further enhanced the impact of this moment.
Caitlin Clark made the comments to Time magazine. Monica McNutt recently said on BBC, perhaps a big reason for Caitlin Clark's popularity is she's white and from the Midwest.
The Monica McNutt stuff, and specifically with this level of media, we're talking about with ESPN, their issue with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark represents Trump America, MAGA America. They see her and they say, this is someone that everybody who roots for probably voted for Donald Trump, and I hate Donald Trump, and I hate those red hats, and I hate everything that represents to me. Because to me, that represents racism.
Her staff is focusing on a culture of targeted contempt that has been simmering around her ascent since day one, not simply one insult. According to the lawsuit, it starts with her last season at Iowa, when media figures like Monica started to subtly but steadily suggest that Caitlin's success was a gift rather than something she earned. Monica McNutt became the spokesperson for that story, claiming that her fame was due to her skin tone rather than her skill, and that her domination was the result of media bias. She frequently questioned Clark's leadership, minimized her accomplishments, and even suggested that her fame was taking up space that other athletes should have.
And little girls said, hey, I can relate to Caitlin Clark. She's like us. She has a boyfriend. There's a lot of parents that feel real comfortable taking their kids to a game.
ESPN and claimed that Monica McDougal is an NBA analyst. Obviously, Monica never played in the NBA. Monica wasn't even good enough to play in the WNBA. Maybe that's why Monica seems to be jealous of Caitlin Clark.
However, this recent behind-the-scenes remark went beyond a professional disagreement to outright slander. And that was the tipping point for Caitlin Clark, who dedicated her career to advancing the sport rather than bringing others down.
Paige Beckers is a terrific player. She'll capture the imagination a little. She'll do some commercials, but she's not going to be Caitlin Clark because she doesn't have that kind of game. Don't try to compare her to Diana Taurasi or Miller's sister, Cheryl Miller, Tamika Catchings. No, her game is different. It's better. It's flashier. It resonates with the way basketball is played today.
Her legal team is currently constructing a case that has the potential to become a turning point in the accountability of sports media. The question now is not whether Monica had the right to express her views, but rather whether she exploited her position to utilize hate speech based on race to disparage and destroy a public person. And ESPN might be rocked to its foundation if it is proven in court.
Two things. I think it has to show up in our storytelling, and it has to be encouraged by our families.
Yeah.
To me, right? And so covering the WNBA this past season, Caitlin Clark's rookie year, for all of the conversation that surrounded her, some which was fair and some which wasn't, the one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her. Little girls with their parents and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, I was just about to say same thing for Angel Reese when I had a chance to cover their games. But I think Caitlin represented, and again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America. And so she represented a whole lot to a lot of people, whether that is truly what she prescribed to or not. We can all say she is a dynamic basketball player and a force both on the court and the marketing sense. But I do think, same thing with folks that may have fallen in love with Angel Reese that may or may not have agreed with everything they had to say either. We attach our fandom to these icons for all types of reasons.
Former black players have decided, hey, we're going to hate on Caitlin Clark constantly to elevate ourselves, but also trigger her fans so that they'll keep coming to games and rooting for her, and it's going to elevate the entire league.
Because this might be a multi-million-dollar problem in addition to being poor optics. Basketball is not the only foundation of Caitlin Clark's brand. It is based on her reputation. She is associated with multinational corporations that franchises rely on and that millions of people respect.
You women of the WNBA will get past your racism, past your sexism, and see a woman that just freaking balls like we like to see people play basketball.
Even when a well-known analyst labels her a racist slur, the harm doesn't go away. It spreads and affects how she's marketed, how she's regarded, and how secure she feels in her own professional environment. The fact that ESPN has gone silent so quickly is perhaps more telling. After boldly elevating Monica McNutt to the forefront of every WNBA segment and Caitlin Clark analysis, the same network has abruptly gone into damage control. In recent broadcasts, she has been conspicuously absent. Silence and inner turmoil. No words, no corrections.
She shoots logo threes, passes the ball like Magic Johnson, scores a lot of points, leads the league in assists. She's a great, great player, and she plays and shoots and releases the ball like Steph Curry. So there's the attraction to the exciting style of play. A'ja Wilson should be centered, and they should be celebrating her. And all the little white girls should want to be like A'ja Wilson. Little black girls don't want to be like A'ja Wilson.
According to rumors, ESPN officials are frantically seeking legal advice because they aren't sure if they should defend McNutt or quietly back off before the scandal blows up. Additionally, the public has chosen their side. Support for Caitlin. Clark has exploded on social media. Shucker and other hashtags support Caitlin and accountability are popular right now. Many fans have already called for Monica's resignation, and others are demanding that ESPN provide an official apology. It's a clear and loud message.
She's different. She's a white girl from the middle of corn country.
They like Caitlin Clark because she's not a victim, because she doesn't seem to be angry. And so they find her relatable.
This is no longer just about sports. In front of millions, this is about accountability and respect for race. Although Caitlin Clark didn't request this altercation, she is demonstrating once more that she is a formidable opponent in all spheres of life, including the legal one. The broader effects of Caitlin Clark's decision to sue Monica McNutt are beginning to emerge as the case garners attention and public pressure increases, not only as a personal defense, but also as a reckoning for the sports media. Under the pretense of opinion, certain commentators have been permitted to distort stories, introduce prejudice, and disparage athletes for far too long. However, all of it is being contested in Caitlin's case. This goes beyond Monica alone. It concerns a society that has been simmering beneath the surface, and how one audacious action might ultimately reveal it all.
Yet, instead of appreciating Clark for leading the WNBA out of the abyss and into the mainstream conversation, mean girls and race clowns met her with resistance. Because Caitlin Clark's white, that's why little girls have gravitated towards her. I think what she's saying is ridiculous, and to tie it to little girls, you're going as low as humanly possible at this point.
Let's be truthful. The WNBA's comeback has been embodied by Caitlin Clark. She is the cause of the league's biggest TV ratings in decades, as well as attendance records and arena sellouts. The entire sports world took notice of the financial and cultural change she brought about with just her presence. But rather than being praised, she was derided, discarded, and denigrated because she shattered the mold. That is why Monica McNutt was the loudest voice in that group, but she didn't fit the narrative that other critics were comfortable with. She was attacking her identity, suggesting that Caitlin was overhyped, shielded, or worse, that she only attracted attention because she was white, rather than criticizing Clark's defensive tactics or turnovers. And what many had suspected all along was revealed when the supposed slur eventually turned white. This was premeditated, racial, and personal. It had nothing to do with basketball. The lawsuit is now bringing that covert bias to light and delivering a message to all. Sports networks, reporters, and analysts. There are boundaries. Character assassination and criticism are not the same thing. There is a distinction between criticizing a player's performance and using them to support a racist stereotype that undermines everything they have accomplished. Caitlin's current actions go beyond a single lawsuit. She is establishing a boundary. that has never been drawn before, stating that even the largest media outlets are not allowed to degrade athletes in the name of analysis. If this lawsuit is successful, it may permanently change the way that broadcasters discuss players. Without a doubt, it might establish new guidelines for true accountability and sanctions for those who use the media as a weapon. ESPN is afraid. Internal inquiries have started, according to sources. Executives are watching the video. Teams of lawyers are going over older segments. Because the network may see severe reaction, advertiser pullouts, and irreversible brand damage if Caitlyn's team can provide sufficient proof of a pattern of targeted bigotry and racially hostile language, Monica McNutt won't be the only focus of criticism.
But she was a white girl from the middle of America.
WNBA's attendance had a record-breaking high in 20 years with a total of 2.3 million fans attending games. You know what the increase was from 2024 to 2023 in attendance? 48%. That's massive. That's the Caitlin Clark effect.
Phenomenon, yeah.
If Caitlin Clark gets injured, it's over with.
Caitlin, meanwhile, has done what champions do, lowered her head and concentrated on her game. She hasn't toured the media. She hasn't made angry posts. She has persisted in playing at the top level and representing the league with distinction. Her quiet has strength. Her precise performance and her legacy-defining legal lawsuit could change sports media forever, even though her jump shots are included on highlight reels. Caitlin Clark is standing up for any athletes who have ever been denigrated or humiliated by someone with a microphone and no responsibility, not just herself. And that is the main factor that makes this lawsuit historic. Despite not starting this argument, Caitlin Clark is demonstrating why she is a force for change and more than simply a basketball player. She is doing something that no other athlete has ever dared to do before by suing Monica McNutt. Hold the media, which makes money by discrediting people, accountable. This is about respect, not retaliation, and establishing a new benchmark. One where there are repercussions for derogatory remarks, bias, and unfiltered commentary. Caitlin keeps doing what she always does, while ESPN remains silent and Monica stops appearing on broadcasts. Remain calm, stay focused, and keep winning. She is now succeeding off the court as well by defending herself and all athletes who have ever experienced unjustified contempt. This isn't the end of the narrative. Rather, it's the start of something greater. Drop if you think Caitlin's struggle for justice is worthwhile. Although the game may be played on the court, this struggle is being won in history. Therefore, support Caitlin in the comments section and subscribe for more stories that are honest.
Every single one of you WNBA players, you better pray that Caitlin Clark doesn't get injured, because she's keeping your league afloat.
Juju Watkins goes down with a devastating injury that might keep her out next season. God forbid. If the same thing happens to Caitlin Clark, the WNBA will not survive. You have one young woman carrying the entire league. And Monica McDougal and her pretend friends in the media, they are doing everything they can to piss off her fan base.